Thank you. Okay, so they always say that you always get to save the best for the last. This is definitely not one of those times. So, um, so what I'm going to actually talk about, I heard a couple of TED Talks before me. Definitely feel like I have underachieved a lot in my life. And luckily for all of you, this is a little bit about my life story, but a lot more about what I have learned in my journey of entrepreneurship. So the only life story part of my entrepreneurial journey, so that you can really understand what I'm talking about, is I'm from IIT Delhi, went to IIM Bangalore, was in the hedge fund industry in London. My entrepreneurial journey began when I started my own hedge fund in London. I then moved back to India, did law full time, very long story. Thought a lot about becoming a full-time lawyer, decided against it, actually joined a friend in the alcohol industry, started a chain of 27 bars in Delhi, started manufacturing liquor, opened a vaping company, which then vaping got banned in 2018. Great, okay. Started a hemp company. Great. Then started Totality, which is my current company. We started with real money gaming. So I guess you can see the trend of covering everything which has to do with all sort of sin industries. Then went to Web3 and started this product called Zineverse, which was in India's mythological metaverse. Did NFT sales all in India of 8 crore rupees. And now we are really trying to combine the Web3 principles with generative AI, right? All across this journey, obviously, I have read a lot of books from different entrepreneurs, from different gurus, about what is entrepreneurship, how you should start a company. And it has been a long journey, and obviously I'm still learning about what sort of entrepreneur I am. And I thought I'll maybe take you through some of the learnings that I have got so far, which hopefully would help all of you, irrespective of whether you're looking to take the entrepreneurial journey today, and hopefully by the end of this talk, maybe some of you are more encouraged to take this entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so like every good lesson, we'll first start with some definitions. And since I didn't want to make up some definitions, I took this from OECD as to what is an entrepreneur. So very quickly, entrepreneurs are those persons who seek to generate value through creation of economic activity by identifying new products, processes, or markets. Effectively, what they're saying is it's a lot about creating some economic value. You have to bring some innovation, whether that's a new market, a process, or a particular product. What is the entrepreneurial activity? It is the human action in pursuit of generating that particular value. And what is entrepreneurship? Is the phenomena of being associated with this entrepreneurial activity. So now that we are done with the definitions, let's just move to the 4 types of entrepreneurs I have really identified. And the reason this is important is, at least for me, when I was going through my entrepreneurship journey, and I've told you all the different business ideas that we have done, some have worked really well, some not so much, some have been utter failures, some are work in progress, which are our current, ideas and themes. Obviously, whenever I used to, read about, let's say, or look at Elon Musk, like it is said in Shark Tank, my answer was, "Hum bhi kar lenge," right? And then I was like, "Yaar, Elon Musk jaisa banna hai." Then I would read about Bill Gates. I was like, "Bill Gates jaisa bhi banna hai." Then I would read about Warren Buffett. Obviously, I come from the background of finance. I'm like, "Yaar, ye bhi sahi hai. Bath tub mein baith ke Goldman Sachs ko paise de diye. हमें भी ये करना है, हम भी ये करेंगे." Then a lot of people used to come and tell me कि नहीं यार, महीने के पैसे भी आने चाहिए, XYZ एंटरप्रेन्योर है, वो महीने के 1 करोड़ रुपए कमा रहा है, हमने कहा यार ये भी करना है, महीने के इतने सारे पैसे भी कमाने हैं. फिर कोई आके बोलता था यार XYZ की वैल्यूएशन, फ्लिपकार्ट वालों ने अपनी स्टॉक 1 बिलियन का ही बेच दिया इंडिया में, हमने कहा यार ये भी सही है, ये भी हमें करना है. तो इन एसेंस आई वाज लाइक सिटिंग देयर कि यार कुछ ना ऐसा करना है that I want to be the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, that guy who's earning 1 crore a month. I also need to have a great lifestyle. Warren Buffett की तरह इतना पैसा भी हो गया, I'm moving markets all over the place. Bansals की तरह अपने को 1 billion की Flipkart का वो भी बेचना है, अगली कंपनी भी यूनिकॉर्न बनानी है. And what I realized, at least for myself, and that will probably hold true for most people, is the sort of ideas you go after in your entrepreneurial journey have to be really driven from something you are chasing. And these 4 types of entrepreneurs are your core essence and the core values of what those ideas would be and what will keep you at the part of this entrepreneurial journey. And quite interestingly, I heard the conversation of Rochak Kohli when he was talking about his journey as an artist. I actually found these strands in that as well. So let's start. So the 4 entrepreneurship types are visionary, missionary, mercenary, and self-employment, right? So the visionary is obviously, I dream, therefore I am, and it's all about that vision, right? You have created this worldview of how the world should look like, what the world will be, and you are really chasing to actually make that vision a particular reality. A lot of people like Elon Musk will actually fall here because they are actually looking at a vision of the world. They want EV vehicles to be what people use all across. They don't care that to get to that promotion of the EV vehicles, he had to make EV vehicles very sexy so that everyone chases them, right? I think the big change in EV adoption was that owning a Tesla was sexy, right? Like people, it was cool. You could go and say, you know what, I own a Tesla, and people were like, oh man, that's cool. Because before that, the most popular electric vehicle was Toyota Prius, and that was actually a joke, right? Like if you went and said, I owned a Prius, you were like, you're one of those. You're one of those people who is going to be, tell me that I should be vegan and all that stuff, and you're going to start telling me about how meat is harming the world and earth and whatever. Now Tesla was cool, right? So his vision was actually the thing that absorbs him completely, right? His vision about SpaceX absorbs him, right? He said, I'm going to make space travel so cheap. I'm going to reuse rockets. I don't care, NASA, etc. They don't know what the hell they are doing. And that drives him to do everything that he's doing. It's the same vision and maybe a little bit of ego that got him to buy Twitter. But his idea, when you read, if any one of you follows him regularly on Twitter, his idea of Twitter is a dream and a vision he has as to what Twitter should finally look like, right? And the visionaries are really chasing that particular dream, right? The other great visionary is obviously Steve Jobs, right? He again had a vision of what the product is, what he wants people who use that product, how do they behave with the Apple products, and he kept chasing it, right? Like Steve Jobs, unfortunately when he died, he actually only had a net wealth, and I'm saying only because he's obviously one of the most astute and one of the most revered founders ever. He died with a net wealth of $3.5 billion, right? Which is obviously a lot of money, but the fact that he created a $1 trillion Apple company, out of that net wealth, most of his net wealth actually comes from Disney, because he actually invested in Pixar, which was actually bought out by Disney. And Steve Jobs was very less mercenary, right? He hardly made any money from Apple itself. But what drove him to create Apple to what it is his vision. So again, visionary founding is chasing that particular dream, making that dream a reality. The next set of founders are missionary. No, not that sort. So it goes towards the famous Mahatma Gandhi's quote that be the change you want to see in the world, right? And this is, and I would say, I really, a lot of, for those of you who hear a lot of podcasts, etc., they'll actually say, oh, you know what, a lot of founders are missionary, right? I actually think that having a mission and vision is very, very different, right? And the reason it's different is when Elon Musk thinks about electric vehicle, he's actually looking at the way the world is. There is no, he really wants that vision to actually take place. It isn't really about the betterment of the world necessarily, right? The betterment of the world might be a byproduct, but the vision is about how they want the world to behave in their own manner. Whereas Missionary founders are more about, actually bringing that change in the world for the better, at least according to them, right? And I think the one person I can think who fit this bill really well is Khan Academy, right? His mission was to actually give education in the simplest manner and make it more accessible. And I think it is different from how a visionary founder would have done it, because a visionary founder would not have made the fact that, oh, I want the education to be free, a constraint to actually make sure that everyone gets that education, right? A missionary founder is probably more true to the process as well, whereas for the visionary founder, the vision is all it matters, right? And hence the difference between an Elon Musk and Salman Khan who did Khan Academy, that for Salman Khan and Khan Academy, obviously this is my interpretation, I think not only did he want to deliver education to everybody, but also wanted to keep it free, but also wanted to do it on platforms where it's accessible to everyone, right? The other idea could have been like Jio Cinema is actually giving you IPL free right now, to know that I'll give it free now, and maybe later to a certain percentage of the population, I'll actually start charging a bomb and a lot of money so that it remains free for the large majority of population who cannot afford it, right? And I think that's where a big difference comes between a visionary founder and a missionary founder. The third type of founders are mercenary, right? So there was this movie, Mala Mal, really old movie. I don't know if any of you would have seen it. I saw it as a child. And there's a good song in that, which is, Mal hai to taal hai, varna sab bekar hai, ya betal hai. And dekhte hi dekhte kamal ho gaya, kal ka bhikhari mala mal ho gaya. And a lot of founders here, all they care about is wealth creation, economics, and what will end up creating money, right? By the way, just so that it's clear, I'm not trying to say that this is wrong, right? In any of these types, there is no right and wrong. I'm just saying that these are different types. So don't take what I say about mercenary to be like, oh, am I saying this in a bad way or in a good way? This is just the type that there are. And I find that most Indian founders are actually in the mercenary category, right? Because whether we like it or not, a large reason of why startups are popular in India right now is because we have these dreams of, the billion-dollar valuations coming and us making and getting this great, crazy exit. We have this dream that, there'll be this, great PR story that'll come. I can take crores of rupees as salary, yet make a bucket load of money when my company either goes IPO or a equivalent of Walmart actually buys it, right? And the reason they are able to throw the crazy amount of VC money behind whatever their idea is because of this, right? So a large part of what people are doing is being a mercenary founder. A great example, according to me, of a mercenary founder is Bill Gates, right? Did not have the innovation in software at all, has probably one of the shittiest, tech products that at least I have ever used, which is anything to do with Microsoft, right? Even if you look at Microsoft Teams versus Slack, Slack was the one which was, way up there as far as corporate communications are. And obviously Microsoft, being Microsoft, just said, you know what, we'll just make it free for everybody, and it comes part of your package with everything you have of Microsoft. So great move to actually make money, makes no change in the world whatsoever, right? Tech is crap. There is no real vision. There is no real mission. The only thing that they're after is money, but a great company, right? Would I be a buyer of Microsoft stock? Absolutely, right? They really know how to make money and maximize economic value, which, as we said in the definition, is probably the number one objective and criteria for entrepreneurs, is to create economic value. And mercenary founders are probably best at that, right? And the difference there is that they don't really care about any sort of vision or mission, and they're not held back by that, right? If people are loving NFTs and that's you have to shove that down their throat to make money, then so be it. If generative AI is the biggest thing, and look at the move Microsoft made with OpenAI and ChatGPT, that they gave them money and then they OpenAI was supposed to be a non-profit company, and obviously as soon as it became popular, Sam Altman said, screw that, I'm actually going to take it, and it's now valued at 29 billion. And that's the difference between a mercenary and a visionary founder. Nothing wrong, it's a lot of money. ChatGPT is changing the lives, but obviously how it will evolve will very much depend on the profit objective rather than the vision objective of what OpenAI has. The last set of founders, I think, is the largest category of entrepreneurs, right? And I'm just putting this as self-employment. And a lot of you might think that, well, I mean, isn't all of entrepreneurship self-employment? Like, isn't Elon Musk self-employed? Of course he is. But I'm just putting this in a different category because particularly for our grandparents and our parents' generation, right? In India, so I belong, I'm a Baniya, and a lot in our community, especially like on my mother's side, everyone is an entrepreneur, right? Different scales of business. And when I see why do they have all different scales of business, or why there are so many self-employed people in India, unfortunately for us, for a really, really long time, there were no great employment opportunities. So unless you got into the best of schools and colleges, for that limited supply of employment and jobs, you couldn't really have a decent employment opportunity, right? So for a lot of them, entrepreneurship or self-employment was actually the last resort, right? Even today, for a lot of people, it is the last resort because the other options that you're being given by the society, whether it's because your education is not up to par, or it's because where you come from, whether that's the economic background, your caste background, the region or that you have actually been born in, you don't have access to those opportunities. So for a lot of people, self-employment is actually the last resort, right? For a lot of people also, they value their freedom quite a lot, right? And kudos to them. They actually say that, look, when I'm employed, I'm earning, let's say 100 rupees. If I become self-employed, maybe I'll earn 100, maybe it'll be 120, maybe it'll be 80 or 90. But the key criteria is that actually I want that particular lifestyle, right? I want to control what I do every day. And I see a lot of, I love to, like a lot of influencers, I'm not an influencer, but I also love to talk to the Uber and Ola cab drivers, for those of you who got that joke. And one of the things they say is, I always ask them that now Uber, Ola drivers, even though they control what they're doing every day to a large extent, they're actually making less money than if they got employed to become a full-time driver in Gurgaon where I live, right? And it always puzzles me that they're working harder. They obviously have the uncertainty of the payment, and yet they don't want to go into full-time employment because they actually value the fact that they control their particular lifestyle, right? So they are okay to work 14 hours to make a little less money than what they would have gotten in full-time employment and take the risk of whatever happens with, things like COVID or whatever else will be thrown at us in the future, because they put a lot of value on what the lifestyle is. And the last part, which I talked about, is freedom, right? There are people like Tim Ferriss, for those of you who follow, who have really promoted entrepreneurship as the means to get freedom itself, right? This is not just lifestyle. There are a lot of people who say, look, I'm not after crores of rupee of wealth. I can actually live I live a very pragmatic life, a minimalistic life. I spend very little, but what I want is this freedom. I want to work from anywhere in the world. I want to travel. I can live in sort of co-living spaces or hostels, spend little money, but whatever I want to do should be online. I just spend 2 or 3 hours a day doing it, and freedom is the one that they're after. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs who actually take this route to actually gain that freedom. And so I think it's very important to understand this difference between visionary, missionary, mercenary, and self-employed. And the reason is the following, right? We would hear a lot of people come and talk about, if you are okay not to take salary for 1 year, 2 year, etc., you're ready for entrepreneurship, right? Or others would say, oh my God, if you had this great vision, right? You want to change the world, right? Like you want to, paint the earth gold, then you should actually become an entrepreneur. Some would actually come and say, hey, if you want to, alleviate the world of poverty, and that's your mission, then you should actually become an entrepreneur. Some, unfortunately, would also come and say, if you want to become really wealthy, entrepreneurship is your way. And all the 4 reasons are valid, but the idea you execute is very much dependent on which of these entrepreneurs you are, right? If you are a visionary entrepreneur and the vision is all that matters to you, then it doesn't matter whether you will get salary or not. In some cases, it becomes a constraint. So for Travis Kalanick, who became the founder of Uber, he wasn't the original founder of Uber, he was actually living on food stamps, right? But he refused to take a job because he obviously A, thought that it's beneath him, B, he thought that he was just so driven by making that impact that he would not do anything till something like that comes his way, right? So the vision just, it's almost your drug, right? You don't care about what your economic circumstances are. You don't care about what your logical risks are. You just have this vision in mind and you're just going after it. And it could take a really, really long time and it could never pan out, right? So entrepreneurship obviously has a very high failure rate, but probably visionary founders have the highest failure rate. Because obviously you are looking at an impact which is so large, it obviously becomes very, very difficult to execute it in real life. So if you are, or if you want to be a visionary founder or that is your drive, right, I think you should be prepared for it. So you shouldn't get into the loop of, oh, the other founder is actually able to take 1 crore, 2 crore of yearly salary, and here I am, living on dirt, and I don't know what the hell is going to happen, because you are actually driven by the vision and you need to stay true to it. If you are a missionary founder, then obviously what you're really driven by is that mission and that particular process. So again, what you're looking for is, if I am the person who wants to alleviate poverty, my goal isn't to say that I'm going to alleviate the billion people who are under a particular poverty line all over the world. I just start with the next 2, right? I really look at the 2 people around my society. Can I do something for them to alleviate it? So your changes become really, really small and incremental, right? And so you really think bottoms up. Unlike a visionary founder who actually starts with, oh, this idea is crap. Even if I made these 2 people out of poverty, how does it matter? Because my vision is actually 1 billion, right? So my execution has to be such that if it works, it'll impact 1 billion people. Otherwise, if it impacts 0, it's also okay. Whereas for the missionary, it's very important that if it impacts 2 people, great. Then I will add another 2. Then I will add maybe another 10. Then I will add another 20. So it's a very bottoms-up, incremental, slow approach, whereas obviously the visionary founder is trying to be the hare with rocket fuel on them, right? If you are a mercenary founder, I always call it, it's more finding a arbitrage opportunity, right? And what is the arbitrage? The arbitrage is, can I find a partner, and that partner could be a VC, it could be another large company, it could be a market, which actually believes in this opportunity, and can I sell them that opportunity really well, right? And I think like White Hat Junior is a great example of this particular idea, right? Like, is there a vision behind it? They obviously say there is a vision, there was none. Was there a mission behind it? Absolutely not. But they actually were at the right place at the right time with COVID. And then they said, you know what, we will create Wolf Gupta and we will create this big FOMO with parents to actually say that, look, unless you take our courses, your neighbor's kid might become, Bill Gates, your neighbor kid might become Steve Jobs, they might become Sundar Pichai, and your kid will be left behind. So we will force, and we will actually showcase to parents who probably don't know coding that by taking our 6 months course, your child will be able to create an app from scratch when they are 6 or 7 in the 6th and 7th grade, right? So here you are really looking for arbitrage opportunities. You came in, you did an arbitrage. White Hat Junior is, from what I read in the reports, from what I hear from people, is probably going to get shut down. It doesn't matter, right? The people who made it made a killing and a lot of money, and they're out. And again, like I said, there is nothing wrong, because the biggest objective of an entrepreneur needs to be economic value. Of course, we can argue, was that economic value sustainable or not? But it doesn't really matter, right? What matters is that there was someone else who thought that there was economic value, and you pass that hot potato to them. If that value sustains, it's up to them. If not, so be it, right? Free Charge is a great example, right? Got sold, I think, for $400 million to to Snapdeal and then got resold for $60 million and then actually got shut down after that. So again, a great example of arbitrage and a mercenary founder. So here your idea is not to really go after a vision or a mission. Those you probably need to find to put them in your slide and pitch deck. But actually what you're caring about is, hey, can I really make some big bucks by actually doing it, right? So you're more, you're more oriented towards finding these medium-term opportunities than really long-term opportunities. You shouldn't really care about the next 10, 15 years because you're not going to be around doing that particular idea for that long. And the last, which is self-employed, you're really promoting that value, right? Is it that I need to earn 3 lakh rupees a month, 1 lakh rupees a month? What is the opportunity that can give me that, right? Do I need to start a digital marketing agency, right? The digital marketing agency, if you start today, has no vision, has no mission, is also not mercenary because you're not going to, in all likelihood, make crores and crores of rupees. But it's still a very good idea to actually make you a few lakh rupees a month, right? If you get into a ChatGPT plugin today, probably no vision or mission where you can see yourself making tons of money, probably no mercenary idea because everyone knows it, but probably still an idea where you can still make a couple of lakhs a month. So for a lot of people, that idea is still very valid, right? And I think a majority of entrepreneurs, like I said, actually fall in this particular category. So to sum it up, I think what I'll say at the end is it's very important, particularly in any entrepreneurial journey or any journey that you take, even for your employment, to really know what is the core that's driving you, right? Because one thing I really found is, for me, I kept moving, right? I kind of started by saying, I want to be all these types of founder. I then at some moment said, oh, you know what, I'm a missionary founder. When I saw White Hat Juniors exit, Karan Bajaj is actually a senior of mine from IIM Bangalore. I was like, okay, this is a sort of opportunity I also want to do. So I started, pivoting myself and said, let me do this. Then I went to something else. And over time, I realized that I am a particular type, right? And I will keep following my ideas to stay true to that type because that is the way, I'm happy in the journey that I'm taking. And that's also the way that I maximize the success of what I want to do because I'm staying true to it. Thank you very much.